All right, this is about nutrition for Gainz. Um, I'll tell you the way I do my nutrition, and I'll explain to you why I do that. Again, all the credit is to StrongFit, to Julian, to Tyler, to Rare Barracuda, Richard Aceves. Those guys, they're incredible. They're breaking ground, and they're tying together fields that nobody's ever tied together, and it's amazing. It's made everything significantly better in the fitness, for me in fitness, and understanding why. So I fast from the night before, from 8:30 ish the night before to 11:30 the next day. I like to do that because it makes me, yeah. So I fast from there till 11:30. 11:30 I do lunch. Lunch has, right now I'm working with yogurt. I'm going to switch off of that and go back to doing avocado, and I'm going to add in feta cheese and Kalamata olives for the extra fat, and it's got a little bit of protein in it, but feta is pretty low in that, and it's a little higher in fat, and it's a little easier to digest than other traditional cheeses. And then so I do about equivalent of 2 avocados with that. I used to do a salad with 2 avocados and a bunch of spinach. I didn't respond well to the spinach. Maybe it was just too difficult to digest. Maybe it was just me, but it just didn't really work out very well for me. Anyway, and then I don't eat again until dinner time. I work out at 4:30-ish, 5 o'clock, work out till 6, cook dinner, eat dinner at 6:30-ish, and that is my only time that I try to take in protein, which is when I'm relaxing, when I'm trying to calm down, when I'm trying to head to sleep soon after that. And so I do protein with veggies and with mushrooms. So the veggies I prefer are asparagus, deeply enjoy asparagus, and mushrooms. I just buy the baby Bella, whatever mushrooms. And I drink right around there sometime, usually after dinner as I'm heading towards bed. I drink a cup of heavy cream, 8 ounces of 40% whipping cream. I used to, when I was trying to bulk up, I was drinking 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, one before dinner, one after dinner. But my activity levels were low enough that I started getting fatter from that because I wasn't actually using the energy from the fat. And my dreams were nuts when that was happening. That was crazy. That was an interesting time. Anyway, and then as I'm going to bed, so this is from 6:30 to about 8:30. So it's like a 2-hour window. If I'm feeling a little bit peckish, I will have a meat stick. They're fairly clean. There's some stuff in the wrappings. I'm not terribly worried about that because it's such a low percentage. But it is pretty much pure protein, and they work very, very well. If I wake up in the night, usually I wake up about 4 or 5 hours into the night to go to the bathroom and whatever. And if I'm feeling a little hungry or don't feel like I can go back to sleep, I will redose with another protein stick. They're not huge. They're about 4 or 5 inches long, and they're half an inch, 5/8 of an inch in diameter. So it's not a huge dose, but it's just enough to knock me out again for a couple more hours. And then I wake up at 5 to go to work because work starts at 6. So that's kind of what I do, and that's worked really, really well. It flies in the face of every nutrition program you'll ever hear about. It's kind of keto, it's kind of not keto, it's kind of vegetarian, it's kind of not vegetarian, it's kind of carnivore, it's kind of not carnivore, it's intermittent fasting, it's not intermittent fasting. So there's a lot of stuff mixed in there. You can put whatever name you want on it. It's called the Strong Fit Protocol. I figured out what I know from listening to Julian. He always puts content out there that's valuable and that leads you forward and makes, if you're willing to ask the question and you're willing to actually do the work yourself, you can pretty much figure it out, what he's talking about. Anyway, that's worked really well for me. That brought me up. I was looking to gain some muscle, and that brought me up from about 195 pounds to about 220, which is where I sit now. Yes, even with fasting, I sit at about 220 pounds. I'm taking in probably about 2,500 calories, maybe a little bit more, but it's not really, I'm not really paying attention to that. I'm more basing it off of feel. Um, a lot of times when you feel like you're hungry, you may not actually be hungry. It may just be anxiety building up because you need to go do something, take some kind of action, whether that's a house chore, whether that's go out and actually work, whether that's go for a walk, whether that's talk to your family, whether that's call up a friend. There's something that your body's trying to tell you to do, and that's where that hunger comes from. You will find that if you're doing something that you love, or for me, my job, I'm a welder by trade. And so for 10 hours a day, that's what I'm supposed to be doing, welding and working in the shop. And if there's nothing to do, I get very bored. And when I get bored, I start feeling hunger, right? But it's not really hunger. There's a difference between bored and there's a difference between the bored feeling that your gut kind of puts out there saying, "Hey, go do something," and hungry feeling where your energy is dropping, you need some food. There's total difference there. And so I know that as soon as I start getting some pangs of hunger based off of boredom or anxiety for not doing something during the day, this is just a for instance, I'll get up, I'll go out into the shop, I'll do something, I'll work. And sure enough, I'll stop thinking about my stomach needing more food for it when it really doesn't. And then 11:30 rolls around and I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I'll eat because I do need to refeed. I need to have some kind of, food. And so that's what I take in. I take in fat there. So you'll find, if you're paying attention, you'll see that I don't have a lot of carbohydrate in my diet. There are carbohydrates in the yogurt that I'm taking in right now. I really don't like that they just put sugar in there and don't put it on the ingredient label. I don't appreciate that at all. That's a comment on American consumerism and requirements in food for generally the American fat population. That's not insulting American fat people. That's just saying it's ridiculous that you feel obligated to put sugar in everything. The reason I don't like the sugar in it is because that will trigger a sympathetic response, which right after lunch will make me feel sluggish, make me bog down, which I've been experiencing with this yogurt. It also has some protein in it. Julian was mentioning, the reason I tried it out was because Julian was mentioning that you can eat your yogurt, and because it's easier to digest, because it's fermented in a way, you can digest the protein and the carbohydrates. I imagine that is true with yogurt that does not have extra sugar put in it. Anyway, I am trying that out, and I don't know that I'll stick with it because I don't really like it. The yogurt tastes amazing. It's Greek yogurt. It's full-fat Greek yogurt, but it's American full-fat Greek yogurt, so it's not the same as European full-fat Greek yogurt where they're not throwing extra sugar in there. Whatever, that's a pet peeve of mine. The avocado thing is awesome. I use the little avocado cups from Costco as my avocado snacks. I buy the Baby Bells from Costco for a little extra cheese snack if I need something. And I'm going to be shifting over to something different, buy a bunch of Kalamata olives and stuff. So if you do shop at Costco, I know this American only, I think. If you do shop at Costco, then this amount of food that I take in can be bought for about $220 and lasts me about 3 to 4 weeks. Pretty cheap for 3 to 4 weeks. I live in Alaska. The cost of living is pretty high. The food is pretty expensive. But it's pretty good. I eat moose burger at night, which is very good, extremely clean. Julian talks a lot about sick cows being slaughtered and fed to people, and how that's, if you're eating something that was sick, then you're probably going to get sick. It's not going to help you out as much. I am very fortunate to be able to take in moose burger. There was a friend that went out hunting and whatever. Anyway, he gave me a bunch of moose, and that's been awesome. It's a very dense protein to take in, so it knocks me out and it makes my body work to digest it, which is great. I tried shifting over to pork loin for a while, and I noticed very almost immediately that for the same amount of work done in the workout, I was extremely sore comparatively, which means my stuff was not recovering as quickly. But then I switched back to moose, and immediately the soreness was gone. The same rate of work, the same intensity, everything was the same in the workout, everything was the same during the day. Nothing else changed. So to me, it's the density of the protein. The light is starting to come back. So as my circadian rhythm is kind of picking up speed as we head into spring and summer, I was needing a denser protein, which is awesome. Julian talked about that as well. It was cool to experiment with that and see that my digestion really was needing something a little heavier to work with. It's just like lifting weights. Sometimes you need something heavier to push that. Anyway, that's what I do. I'm fairly lean right now. I'm probably 8-10% body fat. That's not bad for me. That's pretty much where I've been at for the last 12 years. I don't really focus on that. If I do start to get fatter in my midline, I start to take a look at why I'm just putting on fat and why I'm not putting on mass. And then I change and I adjust stuff. So for instance, the cream thing, I took 1 cup of cream out at night, and that helped me lean out a little bit better. But other than that, I didn't really change much. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gives you a little insight into that. If you want more specific stuff on the nutrition and why, I won't do it justice. I can explain what I know and what I've extrapolated from what Julian has said on his Strong Fit podcast, but I would go over to YouTube or any other podcast, Spotify, iTunes, any of those, and I would listen to the Strong Fit podcast. I think it's called Tête à Tête, which is French for face-to-face. Anyway, I would listen to that because that guy is amazing, and he's extrapolating information from experts that are higher. It's all, it's insane stuff. Anyway, it will change your life if you do it. And it's a much easier way to put on mass and get gains.